Welcome back to the New Friends podcast. I am your host, Silvia Costa. This next episode you are about to hear is with Brian Flores, representing his barbecue company, Flower Power Barbecue. There's a competition coming up. I hope that you all can support him. I'll be out there. We'll be live broadcasting with Bama Media. Sunday, July 16th, there will be a barbecue competition at PBSJ Banda Velha in San Jose. I will be posting more details on social media. So if you're not following me yet, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, New Friends Podcast, follow, rate, subscribe on Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, I am there. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys this weekend. Dia de Portugal, Kellyanne Park, and Portuguese Heritage Night at the Earthquakes game. Força Quakes, Viva Portugal, and happy Pride Month, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It is very R-rated, so if you're listening with your kids in the car or around your kids, this is not one for the kids. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the New Friends podcast again. We are back, full throttle, season 2. I am very excited to introduce this guest that I have that I'm talking to today. I've known him for a long time, and of course I know him because I'm Portuguese and he's Portuguese. It's just another guest that is Portuguese. I'm sorry. I am having another Portuguese guest. So I have Mr. Brian Flores on the podcast today. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Silvia. How's it going?
Very good. Thank you for asking. I think the last time you and I saw one another was at, I think, Brian Matos' wedding.
Dude, honestly, I was actually thinking about it the other day when you reached out to do the podcast. I was like, dude, I don't remember the last time I seen her. But yeah, no, I think the last time was Matos's wedding, and that was like during COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's already, has kids in and everything.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a few years, yeah.
I had actually never been to the Madonna Inn before, so that was actually really cool to kind of see what it looked like.
Yeah, no, that was actually, I think that was my first time there, especially at the venue and stuff like that. I think I've been to like that pea soup place. I think if I'm remembering correctly, they have like a little restaurant there that serves like bomb ass like pea soup. But yeah. So that was like the first time I had been in the venue myself.
You stayed there, right? Some of you guys stayed at that hotel.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. We stayed because you know how Portuguese weddings go.
Yeah. Well, I was so curious. I'm like, I wish I would have stayed here because every room was so cool there.
It was, and like I tripped out about that, because the rooms were they were hella fancy. I was like, damn, these things are fucking nice.
Yeah, it's for sure.
You don't mind me cussing, right?
No. I literally have the little check on the tab that says this is not made for kids.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I cuss a lot.
So I'm sorry if anybody else is offended, but then my show's not for you. So. So yeah, that's the last time that we saw one another. But I was thinking back when we actually met, and it had been like an IES or like PBSJ Festa or something.
Oh like yeah, no, yeah. I think yeah. I remember back in the day. I want to say it was probably like around the IES Festas, because I've known you. I want to say since like the early 2000s, I want to say.
For sure. Yeah. Long time.
Very, very long time. I probably met you and your set of friends, the Hayward girl. Am I correct, Hayward? You guys were from the Hayward area or no?
Yeah,
exactly.
I was going to say that. I'm like, everyone has their hall. PBSJ.
Exactly.
Shore, right?
Exactly. PBSJ all day, baby. No, but yeah, no, I remember meeting you guys back in the early 2000s, and you and your friends were so cool. So, obviously in the Bay Area, whenever there's a Portuguese Festa, everybody just, that's the cool thing about the community is, having these, when they have these festas and everything, you just meet so many different people from all over the place, and everybody just has a good time. And so that's how most of us met, like all of our friends.
Yeah, it's interesting because I felt like when I grew up in the Portuguese community, it was so small because my parents just went to the Hayward halls, and being young, I didn't even know about like San Jose Festas. We didn't really go too far.
Yeah.
With my parents, and then once I started getting into, I think, marching, and then that's how I started growing more of
Portuguese friends outside of like the Hayward area, and then I slowly went to Newark, danced in the folkloric for Newark, and then I made my way to San Jose somehow with the conjunts and stuff.
Yeah, no, that's like I said, that's the cool thing about the Portuguese community, especially like playing in the bands or like at the entertainment side, right? You're always going to different cities in California. I mean, even in like Rhode Island or Boston or whatever, everybody, like especially with the conjunts and stuff like that. And you just meet Portuguese people from all over the place. And for the most part, like everybody's very welcoming and everybody likes to have a good time and have a beer and have a cocktail or a shot or whatever. And and that's the one thing I love about the Portuguese community. I mean, there's a lot of things that the positive thing about the community is just we embrace our culture, we embrace our our heritage and everything like that, and it's just it's a beautiful thing, to be honest. And I since I was a little kid, I've always been wanting to be in the community and just keep our Portuguese heritage and culture alive. So it's always been a big thing for me.
Great job doing that, Brian. You're literally you're always someone that's going to be there. That's like someone you can count on that will be at an event and support too.
Yeah, most definitely.
I really commend your per se group of friends, specifically like the guys.
Yeah,
you guys are pretty tight.
Oh yeah, no, it's it's funny, dude. And I was just I try to explain this to people sometimes. It's like it's weird because now you see the generation of Portuguese around our area and stuff like that, and like the culture is kind of dying out in a sense, and the festas aren't the same. But man, back at that time, that was the hot. The golden era, like when we were growing up, because I think you and me are close in age. I'm turning 39 in October, and I just feel like my generation and maybe the generation after are probably the last of a dying breed, in the sense that we really, really grew up in the culture and the community, and a lot of us just have like really, really tight friends that we grew up with in the community. And I can't tell you how much I'm blessed to have the friends that I do have, that I've met in the community, and they know who they are. I mean, I can sit here and name a freaking page or two of just friends that I have that are really close and that I've grown up with. But that's what I cherish the most, being Portuguese and being in our community. It is a special place. I'm not going to say it was a special place. It is a special place, and it can always be a special place. But at the same time, we need to carry on the traditions. But that's another topic.
Pick up a little bit. Yeah, we need to pick up a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
Pick up the slack from COVID. That's for sure.
Most definitely.
When I started singing in conjunts, I was able to play with your brother too. So I was able to meet your brother, and then I met your mom through that too, because she would always come to the gigs. And so I feel like I know your family now.
That was Somajung, or what was that band?
No, that was I think that was Outra Banda. I don't think it was
Outra Banda. That's right. I was trying to remember the name. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know. I remember he played with you guys for a while. That's right.
Yeah, him and I got along so well, and like, I just have to say it, just to say the verdade. Like, your brother is such a good singer, and he's just one of those people that you just want to like punch. It's like one of those kids that never studies but aces the tests. Like, he would be able to show up and just show out, and I'm like, really?
Yeah,
like,
no Dave,
warm up or anything. Okay.
Yeah, dude, Dave, he that's one thing, he has a really good voice for his tone and his vocal range. He's not really a high vocal range person, but his mid and low range is really, really good, and he just has it. And there's some people I always looked up to my brother. When I was younger, and he was in like Agias and Kasha, that like he was my hero. Like my brother, like he was in the band. He had all the girls, and had the big blue truck and lifted truck. Nobody had lifted trucks in the Bay Area at the time, and he was just that dude, right? And I looked up to him a lot, and I love my brother. He was definitely instrumental in my in my life, and especially with music too. I can't honestly tell you how many times like we would sit in his truck, like like at night. I was like in fucking like high school maybe, and even like in 8th grade, and we'd go at night. We'd be just chilling at home. He's like, hey, let's go for a ride, listen to music. Okay, cool. We would literally go around. We used to live in Milpitas, kind of by the Calaveras Hills, and we'd just like he would. I'm going to be honest. He would roll a joint, and we would smoke a joint, and we would just go around on the highway and just around Calaveras listening to all this music that hit like at the time it was like during when he was playing with Kasha. It was towards the end of the Aggie-ish tenure. But dude, I just remember like, and I would see like it was so weird. Like my brother, he wasn't the greatest like keyboard player. Like he would play, he would have his like like he would have his moments, but he wasn't very technically like he couldn't play that crazy ass solos or anything like that. My brother was a good keyboard player, but he was solid. Exactly, he was solid. But the dude knew music. Like I would trip out. Like we'd be driving, and he would beat the shit out of his steering wheel, like listening to a song and like trying to drum like all the shit on the song and stuff like that. And I remember one time specifically, there's a part on the song where it's kind of like it's almost like a fill. So it was like boom, 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 bah. And on that last bah, he hit the steering wheel so hard, he snapped the steering wheel in half.
Oh my God.
While we were driving. So no, I mean, not just to cut it short, but yeah, my brother, he had it, and there was, there's no way of explaining what it is, but my brother definitely had it.
Yeah, he has it. He has an ear, and he like I just loved harmonizing with him, and it was just very easy. It was just very easy to be able to sing by his side, and for him to be able to pick some, okay, and he'd get it. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. He was like the harmony king. He actually taught me how to like kind of harmonize, like when we'd be sitting in the truck and singing. So it was like there was always that kind of connection. Like we'd be singing a song together driving in the truck, and he would.
Well, yeah, you'd get pulled up on stage for a few bands sometimes too.
I did a couple times. I'm not like a great singer by any means, but I can throw down here and there. But I remember doing an Ozo song for you guys one time at PBSJ, and that was super cool. I was totally thrown off by it, but I was ready. That was super cool. I really appreciate that, by the way.
I love doing that because my family's all musicians and stuff, and we always did that. We're like, get on stage, come on. So that to me, like sharing that space that I love so much, that was all I could ever wanted. I would have 20 people on stage if I
Yeah, no, I thought that was super cool.
So now you have this barbecue thing going. How did that start?
Dude, honestly, like it's actually kind of funny. So, like a few years back, this is probably like 2 or 3 years before COVID. I don't know what it got me, but I've always liked barbecue. I was never like super huge into like barbecue food or anything like that. But I don't know. I started watching this show, and I forgot the name of the show, but it was like a barbecue contest, and I just remember like watching it on TV and like, dude, that's so sick. Like the food looks awesome. Like I really digged like how they were cooking the food and smoking the food and stuff like that. And I don't know, it just something just kind of like popped in me like, dude, like I'm a total foodie. So like when I see something and I see like, especially food wise, and it looks good, or like how they're making it looks good, I crave it. So when I was watching the show, I started craving barbecue. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna start making some barbecue. So it took a few years, but like, I just remember I think it was the fall of 2020. And I think it was the fall or the end of summer, something like that, towards the end of the summer. And my mom wanted to give me a birthday gift. And she was very adamant. I was like, "Mom, I don't need nothing. She's like, no, I want to get you something. And I had been looking into smokers, and I found one, and I was like, okay, well, if you want to give me something, I was like trying to like make her not buy it to me. So I was like, okay, this is expensive. She's going to be like, you're tripping. So I showed it to her, and she's like, okay, order it. And I was like, fuck, okay. So I ordered it.
Love those moments.
Right. And it was just like, okay, it came in, I put it together, and literally I didn't know how to fucking cook any barbecue. So what do you do, Tip? What do people do nowadays? Like when they figure out that they can't do something, they go on YouTube. I went on YouTube and I just started following all these like barbecue people and all the like top barbecue guys around the nation. And, you know, I just started watching videos and just, dude, honestly, like countless hours. I would be sitting in bed, like sometimes till on a weekday, like till like 3 a.m, 4 a.m, just watching these videos and like just soaking all the information in, like temperatures and like how long you got to cook this, and, you know, what seasonings are good for this, what's this, you know, this and that. And I started implementing it and I started like trying it out, and things started going good, and like the food was turning out pretty good. And then COVID hit, right? Yeah. And obviously, you know, everybody's at home, and, you know, and people, I just remember like everybody on Facebook and like all the Portuguese people on Facebook started posting food, like everybody started making food at home. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start making a bunch of barbecue, because I had hell of a time. Everybody's at home. So I started like trying out everything. I started doing ribs. I started doing briskets. I started doing pork. I started doing pork belly. I just started coming up with crazy ass like recipes and just like thinking outside the box. Long story short, in that sense, like I started doing barbecue and during COVID, and it honestly, it became an obsession. Like I spent like thousands of dollars, like, on meat, on fucking like Japanese A5 Wagyu, like top of the line Kobe meat, fucking beef, top of the line pork, just wanting to try all this different stuff, and I'm not able to go out and not able to spend hella money. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just spend my money on all this barbecue stuff. And then, like I said, I started doing this, and then people during COVID started like dropping off food at people's houses. Right? So like, it was funny. I remember just people coming to our house and dropping off hella goods. And like, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fucking do something like that. So I started making like fish, you know what I mean? Started making like appetizers, like of not Portuguese, a barbecue. And I started dropping it off at like friends' houses. And like, dude, people are like, fuck, dude, this shit's fucking good. And they're like, dude, you should start selling this. And I was like, it didn't even occur to me. Like, I was just doing it because it was like a hobby. It was something that I loved. And I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to try that out. So I actually did my first pop-up. It was, I don't remember the exact date, but I know it was like in the summer or something. And I decided to do a pop-up from my house, like a drive-through pop-up, because, you know, at the time of the COVID, people didn't want to have like contact and all that crap. So I did all the food at my house. My mom, I was at the time living with my mom, and she helped me out. So she did the sides. I think my plate was pulled pork sandwiches with like coleslaw, barbecue sauce, baked beans, and my famous macaroni and cheese. So, and I put it on Facebook. I made a flyer. Sent it out, and I swear to God, I did like pre-orders. So I had like, I want to say it was like 95 or 97 orders the first time. And I was just like, fuck.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, well, and obviously most of them were like through the Portuguese community. If it wasn't for the Portuguese community, I wouldn't have an outlet for this. Right.
1000%. Yeah.
So like I said, I'm very blessed to be a part of this community. And it's really, really humbling in that sense. When I saw that, I was just like,
well,
this is awesome.
Has to do with you, people like you. It's not, you know.
Yeah.
You know, we wouldn't buy from someone that wasn't a likable person. That's for
sure. Or if you didn't like them, correct.
Support you, and then on top of it, it's good.
No, correct, and I truly believe that too. And like I said, I am blessed to have this outlet. But no, so that like I said, I did that first pop up, and it went really well, and then I started doing a couple more, and I started getting really good feedback, like, you know, especially from my friends. Our friends are the toughest fucking critics, aren't they? Right? Like our friends, especially our Portuguese friends, like we're honest people, like, you know, especially with like longtime friends, you know, they'll let you know. So I didn't hear too much bad feedback in that sense. But you know, that would be like, hey, yeah, maybe you should maybe try this instead, or try a different type of sauce, or this or that. And, you know, I would make a few tweaks in here, but all my recipes are per my like flavor profiles, right? Like I base all my cooks on like the flavors that I think are going to be really good and that pair well all the different meats. And so, yeah, no, I just, like I said, I got really good feedback and I just started doing it more and more. And then, and then I like came up with the Flower Power barbecue kind of name. And that was honestly, that was kind of like an homage to my brother in a sense, because back in the day, cause our last name is Flores, right? So flowers. And, back in the day, they used to call my brother Flower Power. And, my brother used to call me Flower Power Jr. So I was trying to think of like a clever name for the company. And, I don't know. It just popped in my head. It said Flower Power Barbecue. And I said that to a couple people that I was like, couple friends, and like, oh yeah. They're like, dude, that's totally you. That's you. Right. So I went with it. And then I just came up with the idea to start doing catering and, started doing catering. My mom helped me out a lot. She still does. Yeah. And, cause it's hard, dude. It's just me and it's just literally me and my mom. Recently, I've actually my buddy Steve Lorenzo. He's basically he's like a partner now with me, and because I needed help, dude. I could not do this by myself. Like it started getting. That means
you're growing, like to the point where you need help. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, dude. It like it's funny. I never knew I had anxiety until I started fucking doing this shit.
Yeah, the pressure.
It is, and you know what? It's so funny because there's times where like it flows really well and everything goes really well, and then there's times where something pops up, or I don't know. I just like when it comes down to crunch time and it's getting down to that last hour where I have to take the food to the person, I would get anxiety. And like you can ask all my friends that have helped me out, like during the pop-ups, or just any of my friends in general. They see me, they're like, dude, chill the fuck out. Like everything's fine, bro. Your shit's hella good. Like you're good, bro. Like. It's all good.
All because you care. That's almost like a healthy anxiety. That's a more like sometimes we confuse anxiety for excitement.
Yes.
Yes. We're really giddy and excited too.
Yes. No. And what's funny, Silvia, is I would experience there's different kinds of anxiety, right? So like even when I played with the Portuguese, like when I played with the Portuguese band, whenever I had a solo, or I had a part that was it's just focused on me. Before the concert, I legit, like I would separate myself from everybody. And you can even ask some of my friends in the band. Right before concert, I literally would go like in a quiet place and just kind of sit, chill. I would even drink beer or anything like that. Like I needed to be in the right like headspace. And because I would start like, you get that anxiety, like almost butterfly feeling in your stomach. Right. And I would just kind of sit there and, like I learned how to do these breaths, like from another musician. So like when he would get like butterflies, he would do sort of like a breathing technique, and he taught me it. And so I would sit, like I said, I would sit kind of by myself and do those breathing techniques, and it helped me a lot, because there would be times like I'd be playing, and if I'm playing this solo or playing this, part like that's very exposed, that's just on me, my fingers would start to tingle, and I legit like to the point where I can't feel my fucking fingers. They're moving, they're hitting all the notes, but I can't feel it.
Adrenaline, baby.
Yeah, no, it's adrenaline, and then like I said, it's and then with the anxiety, so. And I would experience that with like cooking and stuff. I can't tell you how many times I've experienced it during cooking for like catering and stuff. But long story short, just doing the catering stuff and the pop-ups and then competitions. That's another thing that I kind of got into.
Love that. That is so fun.
It actually stemmed from a couple of years ago during COVID, actually. The barbecue community, especially in the Bay Area and even on Instagram itself, very tight knit. Everybody's very helpful, and everybody wants to see everybody excel. And I just, I met a bunch of people on Instagram, and especially locally. And I got invited to it's basically like a backyard barbecue competition. And so what backyard means is it's not a professional contest, right? Not a professional competition, but it can be professionally ran, in the sense that they can use all the rules that are on the professional circuit, all the professional judges and how they judge. You get placed, 1 through whatever. They give you feedback. They give you comments. They let you know what you did good, what's bad, what needs to be fixed or whatever. Right. I did this first one with my team. And so at the time, I didn't have anybody besides me. So I reached out to a bunch of buddies. And so they were the first Flower Power team. And so we went to this fucking place. It was in Campbell. It was literally at this, I forgot the name of the bar. I want to say there was 17 teams or some shit like that. It's actually on YouTube. And the funny thing is, and I'll get to this in a little bit, but there was one of the professional judges there. Her husband's actually a professional barbecue pitmaster. And he's actually like he's a grand champion. He's won multiple fucking like contests around the United States. He has his own YouTube channel. He was on barbecue shows on TV. His name is Harry Sue. And so that's how that got videotaped. He videotaped, went around and videotaped stuff. And he actually was on the table that judged my ribs. So the competition was ribs and tri-tip. Excuse me. And so we turned on our food, and the way it worked at that competition, right, was when it's time to judge your food, they would, they're only supposed to take 1 or 2 bites, right? Like, so in that 1 or 2 bites, you have to pack as much flavor as possible, because you want to smack their taste buds and give them a pop of flavor that they're not going to forget. Right. So that's the whole point of it. And so I turned mine in, they call me up to go inside, and, some of the other judges were, and this is my first competition, right? So I wasn't, I wasn't used to it. So some of the judges were like nailing me on the color of my ribs, right?
Oh my God.
So it's very specific. Like, they judge on color, they judge on taste, they judge on how moist the ribs are. They judge on like spiciness, or if it's too sweet, it's too spicy, or it's not salty, or it doesn't look good in the box. Like the presentation of it doesn't. If they bite the rib and it doesn't it has to pull off the bone, but not the whole rib. It just needs to pull off where their teeth marks make into the rib. So I get up there, I'm nervous as shit. I go up there with Roger somewhere, and we're sitting up there, and the judges are like, they're kind of nailing me on some of the other stuff, like color. The color was a little bit too dark, and I fucked up. I put a little bit too much brown sugar in the wrap of the ribs. So when it gets to a certain point, when you're smoking the ribs, you need to wrap it in foil with like apple juice and almost braise it, in a sense, so that it gets it gets pretty tender. When I did that, I put a little bit too much brown sugar. The brown sugar kind of darkened the meat, so it didn't look as good as I wanted it to be, but whatever. But then everybody started telling me, dude, the flavor was phenomenal. The flavor was on point. If you would have fixed your color, and some of it was a little bit overcooked. But Harry Sue, the guy, the professional guy, he was on the table. He tells everybody, and this is on camera, it's on you. So he goes, guys, he tells me, and he goes, look, I got lucky out of this whole box you turned in. I got the best rib that you turned in, because what I did was I had to do multiple slabs of ribs. So the rib that I pulled possibly from a different rack was the best one out of all the ones that I turned in. So he eats it, and he's like, dude, the flavors, he's like, this is the competition rib. He's like, out of all the ribs I tasted today, this was my favorite. Yeah, so I was like, damn, okay, I at least I got my flavors down, right? So it was a humbling experience to hear people judge you on your food. I'm a people pleaser. I like to do food, and honestly, and people always ask me, like, especially family, like, oh, dude, you're always feeding people, and you're always like, you spend your money and you're always giving people food, and it's like, I love to feed people. I don't know what it is. It's just it's a thing that I enjoy seeing the satisfaction on people's faces when they eat my food. I can compare it to like music, right? Like musicians like us, right? You're a singer, I'm a musician. we do this at the same time. We do it because we love it, but we do it so that we can entertain people and see that satisfaction in their face when they're dancing to a song, or when they're crying to a song, like a music, like with the bundas or something. They're crying in the seats, and you elicit that emotion from people, and I can't tell you how priceless that is.
It's a good feeling. Yeah, nothing beats it. That's for sure.
Oh no, and honestly, there's no, I can't find any other way of recreating that. Like that feeling can be recreated is through music, and through food for me, to be able to like please somebody in that sense.
So what is your, like, if you had to say like a dream with Flower Power Barbecue, what would you feel like hitting your goal with Flower Power Barbecue?
You know, I've had multiple discussions, like with friends and family and people that I get people telling me all the time, like, dude, you need to open up a fucking restaurant, or you need to do a food truck, or you need to do this. And it's like, I do. And I'm telling you, like I said, I got into this because it was a hobby. It was a passion. And I do love to feed people in that sense. And if I can sit here and say what I would like, the ultimate like goal or dream, it would be to do like a food truck. I honestly wouldn't do a restaurant. And even with the food truck, the only reason why I say that is because I love my time, right? Like I'm involved in so much shit, dude. Like, you know, being in the Portuguese community.
What I was thinking. The only problem with restaurants, you have to be there all the time.
Exactly. I don't want to, like, I love to cook, but I don't want to hate to cook, right? Yeah. Like I don't want to hate it. I like to cook sometimes by myself and just be in the kitchen by myself. No music on, no nothing, just straight silence and the sounds of me cutting my food. Just the sounds of cooking relax me, and it's like a zen. And I know, I'm sure you can even ask like Telmo, or you can ask like all these like chefs or people that we know that are chefs. They can probably tell you the same thing. Like literally just zoning out and being in the kitchen by yourself. It's probably one of the most soothing things ever. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not. But no. But back to your question. Like honestly, with you know, wanting to have more time and not being focused on like a restaurant or a food truck, because that would require me quitting my day job. And I love my day job and my career. And I'm not done with my career. Like I still have ladders that I'm climbing, and I intend to get there with this cooking thing. I think with time wise, I honestly would, the only thing I would think about doing is like what I'm doing right now, like pop-ups, and just focus on doing pop-ups like at breweries and bars downtown San Jose. Like, I think that's my next goal with this, is to focus on getting out of my comfort zone of the Portuguese community, and focus on getting followers and people that like my food outside of the Portuguese community, because I know I have the Portuguese.
I tried to do that with this podcast. And now I'm being broadcasted on a Portuguese media radio station. So,
but that's like, awesome.
No, it's amazing. But it's so funny because I tried. I'm like, can I reach non-Portuguese people?
Yeah.
And try to grow both, right? But I didn't want to just depend on the Portuguese people.
No, yeah, and it's tough.
The only time that I felt like so zen in silence was after gigs.
Right?
Like after like big, loud,
right?
Bass, you know, pounding of the drums all night long, I would drive home at like 2-3 in the morning in complete silence.
And I can guarantee you still have that whistle in your ear that's from the loud ass speakers, right? Like after you're done with a gig, that's probably the only thing that you're hearing when you're driving home.
Oh,
like for me in the band, like playing in the band, I know it's a totally different atmosphere, like and feeling of playing in a conjunto and playing in a wind ensemble, right? Classical music and stuff like that. But I can relate because I think, you know, with playing in the band, and we played some tough ass music. Like we played when, you know, at the time when Joe Amaral was our mesh, you know, we were playing some crazy shit, and it was awesome. I loved challenges, and I just loved playing that music and that type of music. And I'll tell you, like, I can't even tell you, actually, I can't even tell you is the feeling I would have after a gig. And that, or actually the last note, right? Like we're holding this last note, and I have the pleasure of sitting in the front. So Joe would be conducting front, obviously, of the band. And looking at Joe, we're holding out this fucking powerful, in your face fucking note, and Joe's fucking like holding that fucking note like before he cuts us off, and I can see his face turning like tomato red, and just see the sweat like drip off. Like, dude, the passion that he exuded, like, you know, showing that rubbed off. Like, and I, like, since I started the band, that feeling is what kept me playing music and wanted me to learn more and wanted me to keep playing. But that feeling, and whatever that feeling is, it's addicting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I hope that he hears this, because if I were the mestre and I heard one of my people say that, I would be like, yeah, that's what I wanted.
It's true though. Like, and I've told him this, and he knows because I know he feels the same way. But that feeling of knowing you just rock the shit out of a concert or rock the shit out of a gig, that feeling is just priceless, dude.
But you're still, so the Philharmonica, you guys are still playing. Everything's going good, going strong with the Philharmonica at PBSJ.
Yeah, I mean, it's going, you know, it's going, it's, you know, like, and I'm sure, you know, every band in the Bay Area right now can attest to this. I mean, even before COVID, things were already slowing down, and the interest in the bands and just the culture in general, like festas and the dance groups and all that stuff. Right. I think interest kind of died down, and, you know, with what's all out there in the world right now for people to do with technology, especially for kids, technology and sports and going camping and just life in general. Right. It's really hampered the future of our bands and our community. And it's, you know, so I'm not talking about everybody, but man, it's, you know, a lot of people they're just not interested anymore. And that's fine. You know, it is what it is. Life moves on, and people, you know, want to do different stuff and not just be a part of the Portuguese community. And it's, you know, it's hurt all the bands out here, man. Like, you know, we're all hurting. I don't care what anybody says. We're all hurting, you know, for people, for support, you know, with like festas and dances. And it's like, you know, people come to festas now, and it's like, there's not even like there's not even like conjunct around anymore. I mean, you have the new conjunct that Lisa Mello and Serge Leal and all those Zodiac. They restarted Zodiac, right? They're back now. So, and I know Saint Duvida's around and stuff like that, but there's not really any festas anymore. The halls aren't like hiring bands in them. They're hiring DJs, and they're hiring, you know, the one-man bands that are playing the old school Portuguese stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's cool, but it's not going to attract the younger generation in a sense, right? And it's like, yeah. And I mean, honestly, dude, we're in a tough transition right now, and COVID really fucked things up. You know,
what you were saying earlier is like, you know, how close you guys are over there in San Jose. I know you're like pretty much born and raised in that area.
Mm-hmm.
We're also the last generation, like you said. You're 39, I'm 35. We're like the last generation that our parents are immigrants.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is.
When our parents came here, they had nothing but each other in the community. So the reason why all of us younger people are so close is because we're all we had on the weekends.
You're right.
And our parents gravitated to one another as friends and as safety net, because they didn't know English. They had more like factory style jobs and things like that. So they really gravitated and held on to each other as like a safety net, because they didn't know this new culture. And so now this next generation coming on, they don't have that really, like, I feel like embedded.
Yes.
Like, it is me. Like, being Portuguese is part of my identity, if not all of it.
No, it is. And I identify with that. Like, our generation can identify with that. Like, I'm fucking proud to be Portuguese. Like, you can ask my coworker, like at work, I fucking rep Portugal to the fucking max. Like, I rep that I'm Portuguese. I tell all my coworkers about our Portuguese culture. I've actually, so when I used to work at I work at Stanford University. And so, about 6-7 years ago, I used to work at the president's office, the president of Stanford University. I used to work at their office. I was doing financial stuff, and also facility orientated work. And so at the time, like I remember we had this big ass concert that we were playing at the church at Five Moons, and I made a flyer and I posted it in our building in the kitchen. And the chief of staff of the whole university, she's like, it's the president, the provost, and then the chief of staff. She was so awesome. She came up to me. She's like, hey, I want to bring my family to that. Is it okay if we come? We're not Portuguese. I was like, of course you can come. This is for everybody, right? And I was super stoked. Like, I really wanted her to come because I really wanted them to see what the bands were like about, what our culture is about, right? Yeah. And at the same time, I was like, she's not going to come. She's not going to come, right? The concert night, we're at the band, we're at the church, and we're about to play our first song. And I look into the back of the church, and she's walking in with like 8 people, like her whole family.
Love that.
And honestly, it made me want, like, I'm gonna fucking rip this concert up right now, dude. Because I was like, dude, I'm gonna fuck this concert up right now. Like, this is gonna be awesome. And I had a solo that night too. It was a duet that I played with Nelson Skeda. It was a really it was actually a fado. It was I think it was Fado Menor by Antonio Zambuju. It was a song that Joe actually wrote for us. And actually, funny story about that, backstory. That song, Joe wrote it out, and it's a very simple, almost simple song, and his voice is what makes the song, right? And so Joe wrote it out, and he was like, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's try it out, right? So me and Nelson, before practice, we're like, okay, let's go into the room and work on this, because we basically, what we did is, the way Joe wrote it out is he wrote the vocals for the solo, right? So in the beginning of the song, I did a cadenza, basically me playing by myself, like a really, very beautiful, powerful like entrance. And then the song started, right? Nelson would come in with the first vocal, and then it would repeat, and I would play the second vocal. So we were trying to figure out how to make this work, because the way Joe wrote it was very like basic, in the sense that we needed to spruce it up and kind of give soul to it, right? And so me and Nelson Skeda, and Nelson's one of the, I don't know if you've ever played music or been in a conjunct with Nelson.
He's a machine.
Yeah, he's a fucking beast. And so, so we went into the room at our band hall, and we played the song, like just we played it on iTunes or whatever, and we listened to him, and we were like, okay, he kind of does a vibrato here. Oh, he does this, and we both just sat there and we made it our own, and it was phenomenal. Like, I'm not trying to kiss my own ass or kiss Nelson's ass or do that.
When you do well,
it was a very powerful song. I actually played it for my grandma's funeral. It was this past year in October. My grandma passed away, and I asked Joe Amaral and a couple other people to play it for my inside the church, because it's such a beautiful, beautiful song. Have you ever heard the song by Antonio Zambuju?
I've heard a lot of his music. He's Alenjanu, so I'm like, okay. There's not really a lot of Alenjanus except my family. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I followed him because I know he does like a lot of, some modas and stuff from so I'll have to look it up. But I do like a lot of his stuff because it kind of has, in a way, a Brazilian like
sound, right?
Sound.
Something. So Joe wrote it out. We played it. The first time we played it was in the church for like our anniversary. And then we played it that night. But going back to my story, we played it that night at the church for the big concert. And, the chief of staff of Stanford, watched the whole concert. And we played some crazy ass other pieces too. But after the concert, it was an amazing concert. And I'm putting my stuff away, and she actually came up to me at the stage. She brought her whole family, and her eyes were just so blown up. Like, she was like, Brian, oh my God. She's like, I did not expect this. She's like, she was sitting there saying like, I didn't know what to expect. She's like, I didn't know what to expect, and I'm not really musically inclined or anything. But she said her son and her son's girlfriend were there, and they're into music. They actually play music, or they play musical instruments, and they're good at it or whatever. And as soon as we started playing the first song, which was one of our toughest pieces, she said that they looked at her mom and said, these guys are badass.
Oh, that is so cool. It's really cool to get it from people outside of our culture.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting to, is like I said, that reach. And this, I think that's I branch out a lot, so I apologize, but like I think the moral of that story was like how we were talking about, like, you want to reach out to a different audience, and I want to reach out to a different audience, and it's hard because, like I said, we're so, our comfort zone is the Portuguese community, because we know that our friends are going to support us. We know that the community is going to support us. But I also feel that it's so important to branch out, because it can open so much more doors. Right. And there's, for me, I really want to get into like the bar scene, the brewery scene, right? There's a bunch of local breweries in downtown San Jose, and I've noticed a lot of food trucks and pop-up food companies are popping up there, and there's some big time ones that I even follow on Instagram, and they got really, like, they're freaking notorious. Like, I mean, everybody knows them on Instagram, and they're getting a bunch of followers and people that love their food, and people, I want that too. Like, I want people, I really want to branch out. I want other people to try my food. And I actually do have, I think it's in July weekend after July 16th. So I don't know what that weekend is. Probably like the 22nd or some shit like that. But I have a pop-up with one of my buddies. He's a barbecue buddy. I met him through the competitions that I've been doing, and his name is his company is called Big Daddy's Barbecue. His name is Isaac, and this guy, he blew up. Like, his food is fucking amazing. His barbecue is absolutely amazing. We've become kind of cool, and he came. I supported him on his stuff, and he actually came and supported some of my pop-ups, and really cool dude. And so he reached out and wanted to do a pop-up collab, and I was like, dude, love to jump on that. So we're actually gonna do a collab on, I think it's July 22nd, like I said, and he's gonna be doing his barbecue, and I'll be doing my smash burgers. So it's gonna be in downtown San Jose off of 17th and Williams, I think it is. I would have to check, but I'll send you once I get the flyer and stuff like that, because we're probably going to make a flyer in the next couple of months, but I'll definitely shoot it your way. But yeah, no, it's going to be, that's going to be huge for me, because he has a huge following, and it's just good. It's good exposure for me, and also barbecuing and selling food with a homie. It's priceless. I mean, it's super cool.
Have you noticed? I don't know if you order from DoorDash ever.
Mm-hmm.
But have you noticed that there's so many ghost kitchens now? Dude,
I was just telling my girlfriend that the other day. So I just read I think it was on NBC Bay Area's website. There's a new, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you're familiar with downtown San Jose, but there used to be a very famous furniture store. I think it was Henry Cocoa's or some shit like that, or Henry Coca's or some shit. It was a famous furniture store that had been there for fucking years. Big building, and had apartments above it, whatever. Somebody just bought that out, and I forgot who this. It's some like ex-CEO of some company or some shit like that. It's been empty for years, but he bought the building out and is making basically a bunch of ghost kitchens inside the whole building. So he's making
that's really cool idea,
dude. And the cool part is I think it's going to be like 3 floors. And so each floor is going to have a bunch of different kitchens, and people can, rent out the kitchens to do like ghost kitchens, right? And sell their food through there. But they're also going to have that first floor open, so you can actually go down there, and they're going to have like retail places or a coffee shop, and actually you could probably eat your food down there once you pick it up from the ghost kitchen. But yeah, no, I've been noticing these ghost kitchens going like crazy, especially during COVID. That's when I first started noticing them, was all these ghost kitchens. And there's another one too, like on
no, but they'll do it, like, for instance, I'm in Tracy now, so we'll order from Chili's, and then I'm just like looking at DoorDash one day, and I'm like, how is Maggiano's here? I don't understand. Maggiano's is here, and they literally, Chili's hosts Maggiano's in their kitchen.
Oh yeah,
from like the Chili's building.
Oh yeah, no, that's another form of a ghost kitchen too, where you have these companies or restaurants, and they'll just open up part of their kitchen to another restaurant, and they'll just cook their food out of their restaurant and sell it, and it's actually kind of crazy, because you think about it, Chili's is a fucking corporate fucking
I think that opened up from COVID because I think they just lost so much business. They're like, well, here's another way to be able to stay open.
Yeah. And you know what, to be honest, Sylvia, like I know COVID was crazy, right? I mean, it ruined people's lives. But I can say if there's any positive, it really changed the way people think, right?
Oh.
And it's in all different aspects. I think it really challenged people to find ways to survive, right? Especially in the restaurant business or in small mom and pops businesses and any kind of, way. It forced people to try to figure out ways to do things different and really survive. And I think it also opened up doors that may not have been open before, or maybe just weren't possible before, because everybody before COVID, I mean, I'm blessed that working at Stanford, we have hybrid schedules now. So what I was trying to say is that it really allowed people to really tap into things that they maybe necessarily weren't able to before because of time, right? Because everybody's at home for those first few months, and people didn't know what the fuck to do. And it's just like,
all
okay,
they wanted to do was make bread.
Right? Everybody's making fucking like Pop Six and shit and cornbread and fucking malasadas. I remember my mom actually, I remember one time my mom made, I helped her make malasadas.
Nobody could find flour, dude.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy. Flowers, fucking toilet paper, all that shit, dude. But no, it was eye-opening. And then I think people started realizing, especially after COVID, when COVID started kind of dying down, was people really enjoy their time, and in the world that we live in, especially in a big city. I mean, sounds like San Jose is a small big city, right? But in these types of cities like this, where it's constantly go. Oh, there's not, people sometimes don't have the time to stop and really think like, hey, what can I be doing besides what I'm doing right now? Like, what kind of hobbies can I get into, or what else can I put my energy into, right? And I really feel that COVID literally opened so many doors for people. And the barbecue thing, that door opened for me during COVID.
Ever expect all of this?
No.
Sometimes we get into these moments in our life where we think it's the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what the hell? This is the best time of my life.
No, and dude, like I can sit here and honestly tell you, I did not expect like this barbecue thing or food thing to have happened. It just wasn't. I barely started cooking, like probably like 2016. Like it runs in my mom's an amazing cook, and I really, like, when I was a kid, I was always in the kitchen with her, and I was always like helping her bake and helping her cook and this and that. But then when I moved out back in 2000, I don't know, it was like 2016 or 2017, some shit like that. I had to start cooking for myself, and I started learning. I was like, fuck, I really enjoy cooking. Like, it actually, like, it's something that I really like to do. And then I started kind of like experimenting and doing this and doing that. But in never in my wildest imagination would I have thought that I would be doing this right now, what I'm doing. It's
really cool. I'm really proud of you.
No, I thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm proud of you too, with this new podcast. And like I told you before, was, I really feel it's an awesome thing that you're doing, and being able to have open conversations and really tap into life experiences and stuff like that. And I think it's really cool what you're doing. So I just want to let you know, keep doing it. And I really hope you go far with it, because it's really awesome. And I'm really honored that you asked me to be a part of it.
Of course. You definitely are on my list, not just because you do barbecue. You're just a fun person to be around. Whenever I think I have to visualize you, you're always smiling and you're always having a good time.
That's right.
That's definitely where I want my energy to be after COVID.
No, most definitely. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. And I'll have to come to that pop-up. Me and my husband will come and support you.
Yes.
So where can our listeners find you in if someone wants to cater, right? They can contact you through social media or...
So yeah, people can follow me at Flower Power Barbecue on Instagram. I don't really do the Facebook anymore. I had a Facebook account, but I don't. It's so hard to keep up with like 3 different accounts, and so yeah, Flower Power Barbecue on Instagram, and you can always message me on there if you need catering or interested in collabing on popping up or anything like that. And then if you want to email me, you can email me at flowerpowerbarbecue@gmail.com.